Tonight we're discussing branding Ghana. Do you feel Ghana is branded? That's a major question I would like to know from you. And how far has effort to brand Ghana gone 3 years after it was envisioned? What is Ghana going to be branding? And when will this branding effort end exactly? And what is the expected outcome? These are some of the questions that plague me every time I think about this Brand Ghana initiative. Tonight we get some education. The Brand Ghana office was established in September 2009 to coordinate the development of a compelling national image for the country. We have heard much talk about the branding effort. 2 weeks ago, the Brand Ghana office launched a stakeholders forum dubbed Enhancing Ghana's Competitiveness. And I'll read a quote from CEO Matthias Akotia's speech, and I quote, "To win in the current competitive global space and domestic arena, it demands distinctive identity strategy based on intellectual and cultural differentiations." What is this distinctive identity strategy that we need in order to win in this global competitive space? Stay tuned as we get some answers here on PM Express from the CEO himself and some corporate branding experts. You can be part of the show by text 1760, or you can post your comments, suggestions, questions, and contributions on our Facebook walls. My name is Stephen Enti, and in the studio tonight I have Matthias Akotia. As I've already said, he's the Chief Executive Officer of Brand Ghana. And then next to him we have Dr. Emmanuel Chega. He's a renowned traveler, worked with the United Nations and has widely traveled the world. He now works with the Ghana Medical School, University of Ghana, and he has insight in corporate branding and would want to share some with us. Later on, we'll get onto the phone line to speak to Chris Chega, who is a group marketing manager for Nizam and Porsche. My name is Stephen Enti. Welcome, gentlemen, to PM Express.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I like this colorful new Ghana Stakeholders Forum booklet, Enhancing Ghana's Competitiveness Together. What is this about?
It was a forum, New Ghana Stakeholders Forum. It was meant to unite this country behind a number of blueprints or initiatives, printed, to guide us, inspire us to creative pursuits in a number of areas. Areas like Brand Ghana, brands of Ghana origin. You know the history of product branding in this country. The fact that people don't buy made in Ghana, despite the fact that we have very good quality products. In some cases, people prefer to buy foreign brands for many, many reasons. But what we're saying is this: for Ghana to move forward, there's the need for people to begin buying made in Ghana, brands of Ghana origin, made in Ghana products. How do we initiate this? How do we step up the branding effort in this country for brands of Ghana origin to be appealing to Ghanaians? And as Ghanaians begin to add value to their products and people begin to buy these brands, they would have created the basis, the foundation for our brands to overflow into neighboring countries.
So let's get it right. We want to promote, one, a brand identity for Ghana.
Yes.
And two, we want to promote our products, which we will link to our identity. Correct?
Correct. That's just one of the initiatives. For this new stakeholder forum, there were as many as 5 initiatives. And as we go by, we'll talk about each one of them. There is also cocoa branding initiative. Our cocoa is distinctive in quality. There's conscious effort to make our cocoa premium quality. But this premium quality is recognized. Therefore, the basis for branding has already been established. What we need is conscious management of our cocoa as a brand to attract higher premium offers. And one way to do this is co-branding agreements, where reputable companies or brands that use Ghana cocoa, for example, are asked to put Ghana cocoa mark of excellence on their packaging. Now, Intel does that very well with a lot of PCs. Intel Inside, which is an endorsement. Ghana Cocoa could do that. And as we do that, and as the recognition is extended from one market to the other, people begin paying higher price. And we have a lot of examples. For example, Ethiopian coffee. You can talk about coffee as generic. But because it has a distinctive taste, people have started buying Ethiopian coffee at a higher cost. Because Ethiopia says that they spend that much effort to produce that quality, that taste that people want.
Now, the last time I went to Addis Ababa and I bought Ethiopian coffee, and I looked at the packaging, the beauty of the packaging and the quality, I couldn't think that we can do any kind of packaging that good in Ghana that way. Are we aiming at similar things, or we're just kind of more like playing in the bubble?
Packaging is one aspect of branding. But the most important, because what people engage with is the product itself. And the value that people come into contact with, because it's the product, must begin with the kind of quality, the kind of taste that people can orientate around. So Ethiopian coffee began with the product quality of relevance, quality of meaningfulness to the consumers. Then there's the expression outside to the packaging. Now we are in a world economy today. We are part of the world economy. If you cannot source that kind of packaging material that will make you competitive within your market, we can look elsewhere.
I'm worried because, I mean, as an independent nation which has been independent over 50-something years, why is it now that we're thinking more branding initiatives? Dr. Chega, you have traveled the world over. When you travel abroad, you see what pertains to other parts of the world, and you compare it to what we have here. What are we getting wrong?
I think it's lack of understanding of
what
our purpose.
A brand is.
No, our purpose. Branding has to do with what?
And where did this problem start?
Branding has
where
to
did
do
it
with
start? Lack of understanding of our purpose.
The purpose, and therefore knowing who you are, and therefore how you fit into the schemes of things globally. He mentioned Ethiopian coffee.
As just
I can mention
they have Ethiopian
Kenyan tea.
Leather as well.
Yes, you can go to Kenyan tea. You can go to Ugandan coffee. I had an experience when I was in Addis Ababa that you mentioned. And I was going to have a small problem with my passport. When they saw Ghana, they mentioned Abedipele. And once they mentioned Abedipele, it opened the door for me to enter. So our challenge is...
So you would say Abedipele is a brand Ghana identity.
Branding can be two forms. You can either be branded or you brand yourself. Everybody has one form of branding or the other. Whatever you do, somebody can brand you. So really,
my concern is that what have we been doing for 50 years?
Yes. I think what we have been doing is, without knowing, we have actually been creating brands. And where we are reaching now is for us as a nation to sit down and then see how this child, which is walking and falling, this child which is going to school, this child which is pooping himself, this child who has become a teenager, is this child mature enough now to what? Be independent and do things on their own. So I see the past 50 years, and because I'm a doctor, as a development and growth process. I don't see it as a negative thing. If we can, with Brand Ghana, or the whole Ghana come together and realize what we have now and what the world sees us, because you must also have that's why the packaging is important. Not only the content of what you have, but how you are also seen. That's why the packaging is important. But sometimes you can even start from the packaging and go inside, because when people are buying, sometimes they buy the packaging before they have access.
So I mean, now that we want this baby crawling baby to start walking, how much money are we investing to make sure that this baby crawling baby begins to walk? This brand Ghana becomes reality. It started 3 years ago, right?
Yes. Let me just give you a bit of historical perspective
of it all.
At independence, Ghana as an identity was launched. there was an exposition of what Ghana is. There was a flag. We had a name.
We have a coat of arms.
We had a coat of arms. As an identity, that was done. As a set of values, it was espoused. But what
sets of values? I'm curious.
Unity, justice, freedom. These were just respect.
These are universal values,
yes,
really.
But they were
and you cannot say they're uniquely Ghanaian.
They were supposed to be uniquely Ghanaian values. Now, what we failed to do was to consciously learn and practice these values. America was conscious about this in the 17th century.
China possibly was.
China,
although they practiced within communism.
Yes, Beijing Olympics to teach people how to practice those values. South Africa did so recently with the World Cup 2010. It's about consciousness, making sure that this permeates our thinking, our debates on TV, values in America, and what values their history, you find them giving events for basically get a person that this is what American stands for. This is where America is going. Today, people they are so that's the now for us today. We recognize that we need that consciousness. And it's about identity. And identity is what really
Don't we already have that consciousness? Because you said since independence,
yes,
it was mapped out.
We had it. But you ask people, what makes us unique as a people?
And
what
nobody
really
knows.
Do we stand for? What really are we? And there are difficulties. But drilling deep into...
So Brand Ghana has a proposition,
yes,
to make us know who we really are.
Actually, that is our identity. And this is what we should drill into and teach ourselves and practice them. Over time, there's a particular character for Ghanaians, just as we have for Americans today. That is the way it begins. Now, looking into our communities, we have families that stand for something. Every village, you see it clearly that this family is so unique. It's because we're conscious about family identity. They began somewhere, taught the children the values, and over time, these values became owned by the family. This is what we're talking about as country.
Dr. Chega, are we not overemphasizing this? Is this a big deal, really?
Yes. Just to add to what he said, at independence, Martin Luther King Jr. was in Ghana. Now, Google, a new nation is born on 7th April 1957, a month after Ghana had independence. Martin Luther King Jr. used Ghana to preach in his church in the USA. And in it, he mentioned what Ghana is to Africa, what Ghana is to what. You find about 4 things. Ghana teaches us. Ghana teaches us. Ghana teaches us. Ghana teaches us. In that thing in 1957, 7th March. Yes, a baby can still teach, but the baby, like he mentioned, has to grow. The challenge is, how do we teach ourselves? We concentrate on knowledge and skills, but issues of attitudes, issues of value, issues of character, issues of identity, and that is one area where as a nation we are having problems. We're talking about ethnicism, but actually, when you define what it means to be ethnic and to be tribalistic, in America, in this election, you find they have when in the voting party, they say Obama is. They'll say that Romney is going to get hot. Conservative Christians, a certain percentage. But if we do that, we say ethnicity. So we have not yet understood what it means by identity. Identity doesn't necessarily mean that you are anything. You have to work out what it means to or I'm a Kwapin, or just using as an example, or my product is this, or the Kwawus are good at what? If you say the Ebias are good at carpentry, some will take it is derogatory, but it's not. So those are the issues which we have not yet addressed as a nation because we are growing up, we are maturing. So when you mature, you become confident in yourself. Then no matter what people call you, it doesn't mean anything to you. No matter how you, and you will also not call people anything because in maturity, you grow to respect what the other person is. You grow to respect yourself. You all know that you don't have to be, you can be rich, the carpenter can be rich, the fisherman can be rich, the doctor can be rich, the architect can be rich. So at that level of maturity, you respect each other. And I think that's the challenge
you
we are having.
sound very passionate about this. Are you
Yes.
worried that as a country we've not been able to carve out a unique identity which will become our selling point advantage?
Yes, but I think the events of the past few days and years is teaching us that we need to have a certain identity. If you take the peace, that's an identity. The whole country has. That's an identity the whole world has. If we cannot,
is peace an identity?
yes. I have lived in Nigeria for so many countries. I have the people who come here and they say that they can go out in the night. People come from Lagos on Thursday, Friday, spend the weekend here and go back to Lagos on Monday. Why? Because we have that atmosphere, that air there, which is not. They go and make their money there, but they don't spend their money there. They come here to spend the money. A lot of foreigners come here, and then they just love this nation because of those things which money cannot buy. So we have to identify those things that are in it. And sometimes you can only do that when you need to say what others are saying about you. Peacekeeping. No new nations. Ghanaian is working anywhere in the world now. They think you can handle anything. If you're a doctor, they can make you an administrator. If you're an architect, they can make you what? A financial controller. So all those things are there. Kofi Annan has established it. We have the first Secretary General, the first Executive Secretary in Africa. Dadzi has been with UNCTAD. Now this one is for Africa Caribbean. Ibi Chamas. So we have all those things which when we take outside. Unfortunately, those of us inside are not aware of those things. Usually it's when you go outside, particularly to other African countries, that you actually appreciate who you are as a Ghanaian. If you go to Europe, you may not. And that's also another challenge. Most Ghanaians say, why are we comparing ourselves with other African countries? But I tell people that when you're in primary 2, you don't compare yourself with an undergraduate. You compare yourself with an SS person, not because you don't aspire to be an undergraduate, but because you are realistic enough. Then
you want to learn how to crawl and then walk.
SS. From SS, you go to undergraduate. Undergraduate, you go to postgraduate. Part of our problem is we tend in this country often to equate ourselves with those people who are far from us. And therefore, we don't see what we have. We are always too critical. We always are despondent. We don't see good in ourselves because a child is urinating here. He has the right to here. He has the right to be toilet here as a child. But when a certain level, that is his toileting here, then he has a problem. 50 years, can we compare ourselves with 200 years, 300 years? Not necessarily.
So we need to start thinking at our level. Mr. Akotia, I need to understand now, after having set the premise and the need for branding, what is Brand Ghana's strategy to begin with? I'm saying this on the back of the fact that you've been around for 3 years.
Yeah. We started in September with the announcement, September 2009, with the announcement of a Brand Ghana office. Now, it wasn't to deliver programs immediately. It was to work at the foundation. Every branch manager understands this clearly. The starting point was setting up of the office, recruiting human assets, working on a stage-by-stage approach, call it an implementation plan towards establishing the office. We needed to also work out the legal regime, the legal requirements necessary to give backing.
And this is expensive, right?
It's expensive. It is intellectually stimulating. And for a country brand organization, you need to ensure that all the concerned stakeholders are with you. Remember this, Ghana is divided right in the middle, politically. So you need to make sure that...
How so? I mean, when you say that,
no,
what exactly do you aim to do, and how is that going to help your work?
Because you have to consult with all necessary stakeholders, all needed stakeholders, to make sure that the output of the regulation supporting the organization is such that it's
accepted by
substantial number of people. Otherwise, you have difficulty to begin with. You need to put in place, having had the regulation, you need also to put in place a council, or for us we call it a council, the board of directors, and you need to also work out the funding model. Now, that has to do with the setup. Brand Ghana began by putting in place what we call the Brand Ghana development model, which is the kind of model that showed what, that's page 15, the kind of model right from setup. Then we move into research and exploration. It's an identity strategy you want to work out. What do people think about Ghana today? Where do they want Ghana move to tomorrow? Because you have to manage all these expectations and anxieties about their own country. Aspirations about it. You need to manage them over time. What about international stakeholder? What does he think about your country? What will attract him or her to do business with your country? You need to do a lot of research. You need to explore both domestic and internationally. Now, the third stage for us was to do what we call the crafting of Brand Ghana identity. Yes, we know what the identity is composed of, because that was defined in 1957 with independence. But you need to put that in a language that will inspire action and direct people into delivering whatever they need to do for Ghana to move forward. Now, the fourth stage is to translate the research and the definition of country identity into a strategy that is inspirational and guides everybody. Because Brand Ghana is not, it's not an activating organization. It's a solution center. It means we have to work with and deliver through stakeholder organizations like investment, exports, like tourism, like social sector, like Ministry of Education. They need to understand how to manage behavior of children growing through school.
And Ministry of Tourism?
Ministry of Tourism.
Are you working with Ministry of Tourism?
We're working with all the stakeholders that are critical for our program delivery. Then we also have to work out what kind of relationship must exist between us and other stakeholder institutions. Some call them sub-brands. So we have the mother organization, which is Brand Ghana, working with and through stakeholder organizations. This is what many people will call brand architecture. And then you also have to deliver the strategy through plans, domestic plans and international plans to capture international stakeholders. So it's about 6 processes, distinct stages we needed to do. I'm happy to say that as we speak today, Brand Ghana is working now on the delivery process. 24th of July was the date that the president launched the Brand Ghana program.
Which president?
John Mahama.
Right.
You remember he was...
So on the day the president passed away,
yes, he
launched that.
That was the day he launched it.
He was vice president.
He was vice president then. A few hours later, he became the president. But it's important to say that having finished the foundation work, and every marketing manager understands this clearly, it takes so much time to work on the foundation. The foundation is normally not seen, but the weak foundation doesn't deliver very, very good structure.
So up until this stage,
yes,
how much have you spent?
As onto this stage, salaries have been paid from the center, from Accountant General's department. I don't have the figures, but
who funds this?
Initially, it's envisaged that the government of Ghana would fully fund Brand Ghana operations, but with incorporation on the 10th of March this year, the plan is for Brand Ghana to assume a PPP, public partnership, what it means is that it's not just government into the that was going to that was planned to found it. It's also about the public. It's also about donor communities. So we're working at all this arrangement. But when we were launched, that was when we were supposed to start living individual lives.
More like implementation.
Yes. So that is only when we started having an accountant with a budget and everything. So until this time, we've been associated with the office of the president.
You have been nursing yourself
exactly.
to
but
maturity.
Now we've moved away from the office to be the independent, non-partisan organization that we ought to be. Let me just give you an example. All people there, all the human assets were people who are recruited from private sector. There is no, and everybody is recruited on the basis of merit. And if you should come to our interview,
to deliver.
Exactly, you find AAG, Association of Advertisers Association of Ghana, for example. You find CIMG represented. Basically, at the end of the day, we're picking the best persons to work in the Brand Ghana office. This is what we've done very, very well. So, having established the foundation, on the 24th of July, we're ready for the for implementation to deliver the Brand Ghana program, and this is what we started with now.
Right, Matthias Akotia says they're ready to deliver the Brand Ghana identity.